penalty goal by Ricky Villa. The big man from Argentina went round 1, 2, 3.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Perchy TV. I hope you're all doing well. Just me and Sav here. How you doing, mate?
I'm good. Thank you for sending me the WhatsApp about wearing a black t-shirt. I wouldn't have known otherwise. Appreciate it.
Exactly. Wearing black for Arsenal's demise. Joking before. But
Father-son combo.
Father-son combo. It's like we're just telepathic like that. Guys, we're going to do a bit of a recap on football this weekend. It's been really good. Some really good football games going on. And yeah, we're going to go through it all. Do a few minutes on each game, and mate, just get your thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Let's work it out from most recent to that. Let's start with the City ground last night. Nottingham Forest, Burnley, 1-1. Again, another game which is taken over by three dreaded letters, VAR.
Yeah.
Mate, talk to me. What are your thoughts?
I think many people who watch me know I hate VAR. I don't think it's added any positives to football at all. You get the goodies that go, oh, it's not VAR, it's the people who run it. But if there was no VAR to begin with, we'd never have to worry about any of this at all. It's killed the passion in football. You celebrate, and then 3 minutes later, the goal's ruled out, or you have to then celebrate again because everyone has now found out it's a goal. Look, I thought that they were bringing it in for clear and obvious, and now they're bringing it in for absolutely every decision on a football pitch. So not for me. And it ruined last night's game. I truly believe that.
Well, look at it. It felt like anything that happened, it was, we better check it. Do you know what I think with VAR? It feels like their aim to try and prove that it works is by trying to check everything. VAR comes in. You look at Callum Hudson-Odoi, and we're going to go into the actual game itself in a second. What an amazing goal. And then first thing you see is the referee going like that. Okay, find a way to rule it out. And it's like, you watch it in real time and you go, there's a foul there. You look at it and go, there's not, I didn't see a foul. Like with your eyes, you watch the game. We all watch football with our eyes and we go, no one saw a foul there except someone in a box in Stockley Park who's sitting there going, analysing, basically zooming into as close as this. Did that ball touch his hand? And you go, what are you, like, come on.
I think the problem with it is, and especially from last night's game, from the last few years when we've had it, is nowadays it's almost like we're trying to find reasons to disallow goals. Yeah. And the problem is, whenever the defending team concedes a goal now, their first thought isn't, oh, God, we've conceded. Their first thought is, right, look at the lino, VAR, hands go up, claiming handball, offside. It's just gone a bit, I don't know. It's meant to be a fast-paced game, football. It was meant to be living in the emotion of the moment, and it's not now.
Exactly. That's a key point. And the other bit I wanted to do, there was then one goal that did get disallowed, Lyle Foster's winner, which should have been, and they ruled it out for handball on Sander Berg. When you look at it and go, like, I mean, by the letter of it, yes, it's probably touched his arm hair, the hair's on his arm, and it's scraped by. But you can't tell me, like, he's not intentionally done anything. What's he meant to do?
I think it should go back to what it was. It always used to be, was it intentional or not?
Yeah.
And if the ball hits you there, that's not intentional, right? If the ball hits you up here, around here, it's not intentional. If you go like that, or move your arm out, that's intentional. Nowadays, we're just getting handball for everything. And again, I'm not a fan of VAR at all. I think it's killing the game slowly but surely.
Just a quick final words on this one. Move on to the other games and stuff. And not a bad game of football. One of those. It was a weird one. It felt, and without being disrespectful to Forest or Burnley here, it felt like a really, really good championship game. And that's not a disrespect to either club.
Felt like they were both chasing the title in the championship.
Exactly. It felt like two very, very good championship sides that just missed a little bit of quality. But I'll go back to what I mentioned earlier. Hudson-Odoi, what a goal. And we'll talk about Chelsea in a second. But they'd have had him, and they sold him for £3.5 million.
Yeah, it's strange. When you look at a lot of the players that Chelsea let go, I understand it with most of them. I do. Some of them I look at though and think, you've downgraded. Like when I look at Ruben Loftus-Cheek leaving, I look at some of the midfielders that have come in. I don't mean Lavia, I don't mean Caicedo or Enzo Fernandez, but when I look at all the others they brought in, are they that much better than Loftus-Cheek? When I look at Andre Santos, when I look at Chukwuemeka, when I look at the other lad that played at the weekend, and I look at Conor Gallagher, are these players better than Ruben Loftus-Cheek, for example?
Yeah, or a Hudson-Odoi and stuff. Like you look at and go, I mean, they sold Hudson-Odoi for £3.5 million. He scored an absolute belter for Forest, absolute belter, and you went, do you know what? Forest and May got an absolute bargain there, and you think, go, what are Chelsea doing wrong? What? Yeah, and just to sort of wrap it up, I thought it was a good game of football. We're talking about Chelsea. Let's move on to it. Bournemouth Chelsea, the second game of Sleepy Sunday, not Super Sunday. I mean, it was two really, really poor games of football. What's going on at Chelsea?
I've said it all along. Take the £1 billion away, because that's all football fans concentrate on, as £1 billion. They are a club that have tried to do too much, too quickly, too many changes. You're changing managers, you're changing directors of football, you're changing scouts, you're changing owners, you're changing everything. Everything is changing every 3 to 6 months. And you can't be successful doing that. You can't. There would have been a time where just chucking loads of money at this league would have worked. Unfortunately, now everyone's got money. Everyone's got money. So I don't quite see how these clubs think that's going to work. I think Pochettino needs time. They do have a lot of injuries. You can say that for them. I mean, a lot of
12 first-team players out injured.
Well, you think their entire back four, if you look at it, of Reece James, Fofana, Chilwell, and Badiashile, all out injured. Lavia and Caicedo, who they've just spent over just under 200 million on the pair, both out injured. And Nkunku, who's their best player going forward, out injured. It's a lot of injuries to cope with. And especially when they're not the settled team. For me, I think Chelsea need to, I said this all along, stop sacking your managers every 6 months. Let this guy, even if it goes badly for 5-6 months, let this guy have a year to build, to grow, and try and find a settled 11. But already the Chelsea fans want him out. What do you do, Perch? What can they do? How can they ever be sustainable?
Well, I think that's the key word there, sustainable. Where can they be? I think that's such a good word in it. And I mean, they're running in the next few weeks. I mean, it's horrendous. I mean, the games that they've played are games that you sit back and go, they should be winning. They should have beaten Forest, lost to them. Should have going to Bournemouth. You should be winning those. They haven't played anyone in air quotes of note. But then they've got to go in a run in October where they've got to go and play Arsenal, Brentford, Spurs, Man City. And you sit back and go, whoa. Like, they could go on a run of 5 or 6 games. If they can't sort this out, they could get to December with 2 or 3 wins on the bout. Like 2 or 3 wins.
I think it was probably very important for Poch that he got off to a good start because of that run.
I agree.
You know, if you had won 3, if you had won 3 of your first 5 and got a draw in the other game, you go, okay, cool, we got 10 points from 15. You know, people can settle down a bit. He's floating about from a back 5 to a back 4. You've got left backs playing at left wing. You've then got centre backs playing at left back. Like if you watch the game at the weekend, they had 2 left backs on the bench, and yet Colwill played at left back.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense, does it?
Listen, I've said to a lot of people, Pochettino isn't the guy you drop in to win you things immediately. This is a guy that will need time, and he will need time to grow. Are the Chelsea fans gonna settle for that? I don't think so. But hey,
I agree. Just on the last bit on Chelsea, will we just have a quick talk about Bournemouth? Was the last thing about Chelsea would be we know a lot about Pochettino. He's our manager. We sit back and go, what was the one thing that Pochettino did when he came to Tottenham? Cut the squad in half, really, didn't he? He wanted he made a very big point of a small squad. He's gone in there, and I don't think these players are bought for him. They can't be.
No, I don't look at a lot of these and think that's what Poch likes. Listen, let's be brutally honest. If Pochettino can get to a point where he's got Sanchez in goal, Reece James, Badiashile, Fofana, Chilwell, and then he's got Lavia, Caicedo, and Enzo Fernandez with Sterling, Jackson, and Nkunku, suddenly you've got a good team there, right?
Yeah.
But at the moment, he's not able to get that team out, which injuries happen. But look, he's got to pick up some results and fast, because they are trigger happy over there. And listen, after PSG getting let go by them, being poor in the Champions League for PSG, going to Chelsea, having that bad run, it won't look great. And then that whole theory of everyone thinking that Poch is this great manager, it will go down to, well, he had a good time at Spurs. That's what it will go down to. Yeah.
And then it's, but then you talk about it, and we talk about manager stock and go, then you sit back and go, what is the next job for Pochettino? And I'm not saying it's suggesting he's going to get sacked right now, but you sit there and go, well, he's not going to be touted for the Real Madrid's, Barcelona's sort of level. He'll probably be looking, will he be looking at the level below? Like, I'm just putting names out, like the Dortmunds. Will he be on those ones? And you go, I don't know.
I don't even see what he's done in football to be touted about as much as he has. Like, I know the Spurs fans love him, and look, what he did for us was good at a time, but you've seen it before when managers have overperformed for a spell and then nothing else. Like, look at David Moyes. David Moyes at Everton was fantastic. You know, didn't finish outside the top 8 once in his like 9 or 10 seasons there. You know, look at lots of managers do this. They do well for a period of time. And I don't know. I'm not sure. Is Pochettino that guy? We'll see. It's 5 games in. You'll hear me say that a lot today. It's 5 games in. Yeah.
But I think the one thing what Pochettino needs to, the problem is, and this is a good point, Pochettino is probably best suited at a club there's not as much expectation. So at Tottenham, the expectation was pretty football. Delivered it. Now you're going to PSG. The expectation is not to just win the league. That's a prerequisite. It's to win the Champions League. That's your target. Chelsea, Chelsea fans don't accept just pretty good football. They expect title challenges, titles, domestic trophies, Champions Leagues. So the status quo moves with him. And the problem is he's now at clubs that expect him, right?
Look, you're spot on. I think one of the key things here is even watching Chelsea, like you think, I don't want to come to Spurs yet, but you watch. Postecoglou's been there the same amount of time as Poch has been at Chelsea. Look at the way we play. You watch Chelsea, and I'm not seeing the football that Poch is famous for. I'm not seeing this pressing, fast-flowing football team. But as we said, when he first came to Spurs, we weren't like that in the first season.
Agreed.
It took some time. So look, keep your eye on that one. I have a feeling that Chelsea between now and May will dominate a lot of headlines for sacking directors of football, managers, this kind of stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah, and just to sort of final off on the second game, like Bournemouth, good result for them. Good point. I think they're going to be a team that will be there or thereabouts down the bottom. I think they might just survive, but I think they might just get away missing a goal scorer. Right, I think that's the last thing really we'll finish on that one with.
Yeah, I mean, lots of people talk about Solanke, and he's just got a new 5-year, 4-year deal.
Yeah,
I think Solanke's okay. I think he will work hard for you. He'll run the channels. He's a big, strong lad. I think if I'm in the Championship, Perchy, right? If I'm in the Championship, you're my chairman, and you say, right, get me a goal scorer that gets me out of the Championship. Yeah, get me Dominic Solanke. Yeah. If I'm in the Premier League and I'm saying, right, I need a striker now that's going to do the business. I don't know. Is he that guy? I think they play some decent stuff at times. They lack. I always grew up with this term, big guns. They lack big guns. I don't see the moments of quality in their team.
Agree. No, I agree. I think there's Semenyo is probably one to stand out as a bit of quality, but needs to do it a lot more. But I think the Solanke one, I think you hit the nail on the head with the Solanke one, because I think that's probably why they've retained him, right? They've gone, do you know what? If we retain him on a 5-year contract, if we go down,
Yeah,
we're now not losing a player. We've got a player that is championship ready, right? So it's probably a bit of damage limitation for them. It's going, do you know what? We then don't have. We're not signing a £20 million striker that if we get relegated, we've now got to get rid of and bring someone else in. So Bournemouth I think will be there or thereabouts down the bottom, but I think they got a good result against Chelsea. So fair play to them. The late kickoff in the boring games on Sunday, Everton Arsenal. Scan over this one. I mean, it was not the most exciting game of football, barring a wonder strike from Leo Trossard.
Yeah, nail on the head. I was utterly disappointed. I mean, look, Sky do their best to put out Super Sundays, and this only happens in the Premier League. Well, we got a 0-0 draw, and then where there was no quality, and then we got a 1-0 win where there was a moment of quality. Other than that, I thought Arsenal looked really, really average. Everton were going to do that. They were going to dig in, be hard to beat, but they are absolutely non-existent as an attacking force. Like, no threat at all. Would have been the easiest of debuts for David Raya, is all I can say.
Yeah. And on the David Raya thing, Arsenal have now got 2 goalkeepers competing for one, right? It's not as linear as, let's just use Vicario and Forster. You know Vicario is going to play every game.
Yeah.
Arsenal now have got 2 goalkeepers competing for it. Does them dropping Ramsdale mean that Ray is going to be the one that they play in the Champions in the Premier League, and Ramsdale will play predominantly in the Champions League? The question is if does Raya now start against PSV? Do you then have a bit of conflict now between 2 goalkeepers that want to fight for one position, right?
I'll ask the question. If you're Aaron Ramsdale, aren't you feeling a little bit hard done by? You've gone to Arsenal, right? You've had a good year. You've helped them finish second and be in a title race. And then they go and sign another number 1 goalkeeper. Now, listen, competition we can say is good, but how many clubs have 2 top goalkeepers?
No, I agree. But the second thing, the other big one, only a week ago, he just signed a new long-term contract at Arsenal. Right. And then he's dropped. He's dropped for Everton. So you can sit back and go, I agree with you. He'll be knocking on the door going, what have I done? What was the reason for me getting dropped? It could be as simple as, we want you playing in the Champions League, mate. Like, it could be as simple as that.
As a keeper, would you be happy with that? You're going to play the Champions League. That could be 6 games if you go out your group. That could be 13 games or whatever it is if you get to the final. But even if you got to the final and you're playing, is it 13? 6 group games?
Probably, yeah. I would play 2 probably. 1.
Yeah, 13 games, right? I mean, if I was told, oh, you're playing 13 games this season, I'd be like, sorry, why have I, what have I? Listen, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know listen, Ramsdale's like any other keeper. Are there going to be a couple of dodgy moments? Yes. I think there has for every keeper in the Premier League lately. I don't see the standout keepers anymore like we used to have. I don't see people who are brilliant like they used to be. But I'd be a little bit like, okay, I'm not sure what's going on here, but I'm guessing Arteta must have had the conversation with both Raya and Ramsdale as to the plan for the season.
Yeah, you would have thought so, and maybe there's things that we don't know. I mean, talking of the sort of goalkeeper thing for the last, I mean, did you see Arteta being interviewed about it and just coming up with some cryptic message, which was a bit strange? I mean, he was interviewed saying, Mikel, you've swapped your goalkeepers. What's the reason? Then he started talking about Fabio Vieira. I just found it a bit baffling. Yeah. It's like, I mean, it was like, he was like, oh, well, what about Vieira? We bought Vieira. And well, no, it's a totally different thing when you're swapping an outfield player to a goalkeeper. You very rarely see it. Very rarely happens. You start swapping goalkeepers unless there's a major issue and the goalkeeper's done something majorly wrong. But yeah, well, I mean, we'll move on. I agree. Move on it quickly because I agree with you. Sorry, on the Everton thing. Really poor. I think Everton are in real trouble.
I do.
Haven't got goals in them. And we had this conversation yesterday on your channel, and I said, why did they not go and buy Val Weghorst? It just screamed the most Everton signing, and at least he would have offered something in that final third. Calvert-Lewin doesn't really do it. The new lad, Beto, hasn't really got off to flying colours yet. Bit of a worry, right?
Massive worry. I look at their forward line. I mean, if you were going into a season with Dwight McNeil, if you were going in with Dwight McNeil, Beto, and Danjuma, I'd be worried. But listen, it is what it is. That's the decision they've made, and I expect to see them down the bottom struggling. If I'm brutally honest.
No, I agree, mate. I absolutely agree. I think they're going to be in real trouble this season. I think they're going to be in real trouble. Moving on, Saturday, early kickoff, Wolves Liverpool. It was a game of two halves, is probably the best way to put it. What are your thoughts on it, mate?
Yeah, I thought Wolves were excellent first half, absolutely excellent. I think they completely showed how you go at Liverpool. Liverpool are strong in midfield now. They've got good players in midfield. They've got good players up front. They look suspect at the back. And I feel Wolves absolutely ripped them apart first half without being able to finish their dinner. Good goal in the end, but I mean, Cunha had a number of chances he should have put away. Neto, very good, lively player. Not enough end product for me from him. Look, very good team, but there'll be another team in the bottom half because they can't score goals. Right. Now imagine they had a forward line. I think Wolves would be a really dangerous. Imagine Wolves had Ollie Watkins up front.
Yeah,
I think they'd be a good team. But look, Liverpool. We called it in the WhatsApp group. We said, you just know at half time Liverpool winning this. You know they are.
Yeah.
You know they're not going to come out and play as bad as that first half. You just know it.
No, I agree. I think I said it at the time. I said, well, you looked at that first half and when Wolves are doing everything to run at that defence. Like Liverpool defensively, not the greatest, but the one thing you can't do against Liverpool, really, it looks like it from the blueprint of what was in that first half was. I thought Bogard was very good on his debut. I thought he had a really good debut. The lad they signed from Strasbourg, he had a good debut. High energy in midfield, but Gary O'Neill got it wrong second half. When you know what, we're going to protect a 1-0 lead. Can't do that against the Liverpool side that have firepower like they do up front.
I think the thing is, there was no way they were ever going to come out at half-time, from half-time as poor as they were the first half. I don't think there was any way that was ever going to happen. And the difficulty is some of these teams have good 45 minutes, good half an hour. You can't do that. You've got to, if you want to beat the big boys, and Liverpool are one of the big boys, you've got to punish them. And they needed that second goal in that first half. And then you just knew Liverpool slowly but surely grew into it. And Liverpool could have scored loads in there.
Once that equaliser comes in, you knew what was coming, right?
Can I just say one last quick thing on Liverpool Wolves? Right? Darwin Núñez, for me, has to start for Liverpool. He is so unorthodox, but he is so different from the others. Like when they play Salah, Gakpo, Jota, Diaz, none of them want to go and have the fight up top.
Yeah.
None of them want to go and put their head on it. None of them want the battle. Darwin Núñez doesn't care. And I just feel that if they just kept it simple, if they kept Salah right, Núñez through the middle, and then any one of the other three on the left, I think they're a force. But hey, it's what it is.
No, I think it's a good point. I think Darwin Núñez gets a lot of stick, and he did last season. And I sat back and went, I think that's so harsh. I think he's a very good player. I think he will get goals for that Liverpool team, but he will also allow the likes of Jota, Salah, Diaz, all these lads that play out wide to get in the game more. I think he could be a really key point. But I think Liverpool will be fine. I think they'll finish second this season. Liverpool, I think they're a very good side. I think they'll be absolutely fine this year.
I think it's going to be between them and Arsenal for second and third. I don't know which order, but I think it's going to be between those two, second and third.
No, definitely, I agree. Moving on to Villa Park. Aston Villa were losing the game for the majority of it, and then it was a late push from Aston Villa that won the game. Thoughts, mate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, listen, again, Aston Villa have got attacking talent now. You think this window they've added to already, they already had Watkins and Bailey and Kamara and Duran. This window, they've gone and added Diaby and Zaniolo to it as well. Yeah. And, for me, you can't have enough good forward options. You've got to have players that can make things happen. I think Diaby is one of the buys of the summer. I think he's a cracking footballer. that a lot of other clubs will wonder how they've not gone and got him. Zaniolo, we know he's a quality player. If he can stay fit, is always the question with him.
Yeah.
But look, you would have I think everyone before the game would have fancied Villa to take 3 points at home. They left it late. They did. No shock for me there at all. Palace are a decent team. Again, big guns. Do you have enough big guns? And other than that, no shock there for me at all.
Yeah, me too. I thought John Duran's goal, by the way, absolute top draw. Massively impressed. The finish was very good. And yeah, they just found a way to win, right? I think they do that at home, right? Villa win at home, don't win away. I think that's, but sometimes keep good home form and you'll be all right in the season. So yeah, I think no surprises really. I think Villa, as you're saying, good attacking options. And they're better at the back, right? I mean, they lost Tyrone Mings, but they don't seem to be struggling without him. And I think they're going to be absolutely fine this season.
No, I think it's difficult because obviously they got battered in the first game of the season, Villa, and then everyone went mad. Like, oh my God, they're awful. And then their only other loss was Liverpool, who are, we're just saying, finishing second in the league, probably. Yeah. So, look, I think Villa will beat most of the teams around them. If I'm honest, I think Villa will beat most of the teams below them. And I think they'll be up there. I think they'll be in the top 7, top 8. I think they're a good team that are building, that are growing. You've got to remember that from where they came from 4 years ago, they were in the Championship. So, look, yeah, decent team, Villa. Decent team.
Yeah. Managed with Unai Emery, who we know is a good manager. We know what he's doing, right? Moving on, Craven Cottage, Fulham 1, Luton 0. A Luton team that look like they are probably a little bit too early being in the Premier League. They don't look like a Premier League team at all. And Fulham can't score goals, but they nicked it with a former Spurs player, Carlos Vinicius.
Yeah, I think every now and then you get a club that gets promoted and you think, oh, that's too soon. And I just feel with Luton, it is that fair play to them. What they did last year was miraculous. I think Rob Edwards done an amazing job getting them promoted. But when you come up, that's when you start to see it. And I'm just looking at the table now, played 4, no points, conceded 10, only scored 2 goals. It's going to... Listen, unless something miraculous happens, I think most people will have them probably odds on not just going down, but possibly rock bottom. Fair play to them, but they're just not quite good enough for me.
I agree. The one worry I have with them is they could be one of those teams that could have a record that they don't really want to have in the least amount of points in a Premier League season. That I don't want. That would be very painful for them. They could. Yeah. But the problem is you look at it and go, the class in this division, they're not. Do you know what I mean? Do you know sometimes you sit back and go, I can see them getting 3 points there. They'll have 3 points at home there. They can nick a few points there, but I worry. I can't see where they're getting points this season. That's a horrible one. We look at even teams like Everton. I could see them getting points. Everton getting points against them, and I think Everton are awful, right? That's a horrible. Yeah.
It's going to be a long, tough season for them. Look, they're going to have to hope. Look, I mean, what do you need to stay up? 36, 38?
Yeah, I think it's about fair.
So from that, you're looking at what? 9 wins minimum and 10 draws.
I think it works 10 wins. About 9 to 10 wins. You need to get to be basically safe. It's fair,
right? So 9 to 10 wins. I can't see them winning 9 to 10 games this season. But listen, stranger things have happened. We'll see.
Yeah, no, definitely agree. Old Trafford.
Yeah.
The worry at Man United. Man United won Brighton 3. The one that everyone called a shock, which I didn't think would be a shock. I had Brighton to win that game and comfortably win, and they did, right? I think Brighton, a lot of plaudits, but there's a lot of problems at Old Trafford, right?
I think what you've got there is you've got the classic David v Goliath, but David is very well run with a plan, with a manager that knows what he wants, with players that are running through the brick wall, players that have been signed to play players that have been signed not because of their name, but because of the way they play and how it fits the manager's system. Then you've got Man United who have just chucked loads of money at it. The manager doesn't seem to have any sort of philosophy. I'm struggling. I defended Ten Hag at times last year because I thought, look, Man U have finished third, 2 cup finals, won the League Cup. But this year you're thinking, okay, go on, kick on from that. They look absolutely horrible. And we said it, not just me and you. I said, so many fans I've seen from all clubs, all channels, are saying Brighton are going to beat Man U. It's not a shock anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Not a shock.
Brighton have now beaten Man United 4 times in the row now in the league. It's not a shock anymore. It's not Brighton beating Man United is the norm now, right?
Yeah.
When you're winning,
top
beating a team 4 times in a row, that's the norm.
Can I just say as well, Brighton so far this year, I mean, they got beaten by West Ham in the kind of classic smash and grab. But everyone, every summer, Perchy, keeps telling me Brighton can't keep doing it. This won't last forever. But every single year, Brighton sell top players, and every single year they seem to come back bigger and better than the year before. Like, they've got so many underrated players. Like, Lewis Dunk is an exceptional centre-half.
Great.
He's a top centre-half that no one will talk about him because of his name, because he's at Brighton. He's an exceptional centre-half, right? You pick players like Pascal Gross.
Agreed. He's
solid players. You know what they're going to get. Solly March. You know what you're going to get. Matoma, Ferguson, Adingra. They've got all these really, really. Even when I watch them play, what's his name in midfield? The young boy, Billy
Gilmore.
Billy Gilmore. Again, just they do what's needed. They play lovely football. There's no superstars there. They get on with it. And already, look, they've got 12 points from 15. 12 points, 15. And who have they lost? They've lost McAllister and Caicedo in one window. They lost their midfield in one window.
But I agree. And I said this in the summer during it. And I said, imagine we'll move on to Tottenham after this anyway, but we talk about Spurs losing their talisman. We did, Harry Kane. Brighton lost their 2 best players last season. And they don't look, Spurs don't look like a problem at the moment in a sense, but people worried about Tottenham losing their superstars. Brighton fans weren't. They went because they trust their system. They go, do you know what? We don't mind losing McAllister, Caicedo, Sanchez. They lost their goalkeeper. I mean, they're playing Jason Steele in goal.
Yeah.
No one ever in the Premier League.
I said this yesterday. Right. I said this yesterday, Perchy. This is one of the things we were talking about on another channel. If anybody turned around and said, right, in the summer, you're going to sign Jason Steele, who played centre-half, Van Heck?
Van Heck and Dunk.
And Dunk. So if anyone had turned around and said, right, this summer, you're going to sign James Milner, right? You're going to bring in players like Steele, Van Heck, Lamptey, Adingra, Billy Gilmore. People will be going, oh, my God. But this is what happens when you have a plan and a manager. It's not about the individual. That's why all the Spurs fans that were crying about Harry Kane going, it's why I wasn't worried. You will become a team, not a one-man team.
Yep, agreed. Bang on. Absolutely couldn't have said it any better. And listen, Brighton are going to be that team. Listen, they've obviously this year they've got something different. They've got to challenge in Europe. But what they have done, which is really good, they've got experience now. James Milner, I think, was an exceptional bit of business to get in someone. Yes, he's 38. He's not going to play every week. But you've got a calm head in the dressing room going, guys, you guys go out there and you're going to be absolutely fine. You'll beat these teams. I played them 4 years ago in the Champions League. You'll be better than these. Adam Lallana, another calm head who's been there, done it. Dahoud, they got in on a free. Been there, done it.
Great signing.
And you sit there and go, do you know what they've done now is they've not just brought in young talent, which they do very, very well. They brought clever, smart, old heads that know what they're doing. Players like a James Milner that will be able to coach these younger kids in these big games in Europe. And I'll put it out there and I'll say it now. I think Brighton are going to go quite far in the Europa League. I think they will.
Yeah, I do. I think they'll be excellent. Their style of football is everything you need for Europe. I think they'll be absolutely fine. Top team, top manager, top owner, top scouting system. Everything about it is great. Everything about Brighton is very good. And I don't know how anyone could not see that. I think they're a superbly run football club.
I absolutely agree. And just to finalise, you were right earlier. I think everyone keeps saying they're not going to do it this year. It will drop off at some point. and it just keeps on, keep going like that. And
Yeah,
listen,
that's
I
it. That's
think
what you got to do.
they keep doing it, and they don't need to be doing that. They just do it steadily, right? Steadily going up. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, White Hart Lane, Tottenham 2, Sheffield United 1. Scoreline doesn't really tell you the full story. It tells you a Tottenham comfortable victory, maybe a late goal from Sheffield United. Was not the occasion on what happened there. Talk to me, mate. What are your feelings about it?
I almost felt like it was a game that needed to happen, a game that didn't all go our way, and we find out about the character of the team. Now, obviously, you want to win every game 3-4-0 so that it doesn't happen, but it's good that we saw it. I think we had all the ball. I think we all just knew that was going to happen. And, throughout the whole watch along was saying, Has kept saying, listen, if they nick a goal from a corner or on the break, it's going to be difficult. And they did. They nicked it. And at that moment, it was like a kind of collective kind of cohesion across the fan base where everyone was like, right, okay, what are we made of? Right, come on, what are we made of? Do we collapse? Because in years gone by, you collapse. And we didn't. We kept going. Sheffield United, the time wasting would be their downfall. Because of the time wasting, they got 12 minutes added on. And if they hadn't have done that, we wouldn't have got both goals. So they're, credit to us for keep going. Was it the best game of football to watch? No. Did anyone properly stand out? Not really for me, but we got the win. You move on and you learn from it. That's the key thing for me. So a good, solid, professional win. We overcome some adversity, and good to see Richarlison after the week he had grabbing a goal, and good to see Kulu getting on the score sheet as well.
No, agreed. I think you're spot on in everything you say there. I agree with most of it. And I think, I agree with the Richarlison thing as well. I think good on him. Fair play. Got this goal and assist for him there. And I thought he was very, very good when he came on. He did what was needed. I think that's the key bit. I just want a quick one on Ange Postecoglou, because he actually came out and said it. Now, I think it was Soren that told me, big up Soren. He mentioned it to me and said, the reason why I think he may have made the subs late, because I kept saying, and I don't know if you were in your watch, I'm going, come on, get some subs on. Let's change this up. Yeah. He left it to about the 70 to 75th minute after they'd scored. And he's actually come out and saying that the reason why he did that, he knew that there was going to be 10 plus minutes added on. So his attitude was, I'm going to make my subs 10 minutes later than I would normally make them, so that they're at fitness to the last minute, these players that are coming on. And you could argue that may have been the difference maker. Now, if that's the case, that's brilliant management from a coach, right?
Yeah, look, it's one of these, isn't it? I mean, if we don't come back to win that game 2-1, the question's going to be, why did you leave it so late? We got the goals and it turns out to be a great decision. And that's what managers live and die by. That's, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. There's going to be times where he makes changes in a game we're losing and we don't go and turn it around. But you can't get everyone right. But it worked on Saturday. I understand what he's saying. He left it late because he knew there was going to be more time added on. Sure. I think as fans, we have a different frustration during the game that we're watching it going, come on, man, change this up. It's not working, but he got it right. He keeps getting these things right, doesn't he? So, good on Ange.
Yeah, no, definitely big up to Ange. And listen, we roll on to North London Derby, which is coming up this weekend. West Ham Man City. Quickly get through this one, because I think it was a game very similar to the Wolves game earlier. Early goal from West Ham. You went, can they do it? But Man City doing what Man City do the best, kick into gear, and it's what title champions-elect are going to do, right? Win games of football when you're behind. And I said it on your channel, and I just said, even with 10 minutes to go, with Man City being 1-0 down, I expect them to win games of football. They're that good, right?
It's one of those teams where when you look at, like people in my chat were, oh my God, it's 1-0 to West Ham. They're going to do it. Can they do it? I sat there and no. Man City are too good. Now, are they going to drop some games throughout the season? Probably. But 9 times out of 10, when they go 1-0 down, they're going to come back because they are that good. The worrying thing for the rest of the league with Man City is they haven't, when I've watched them, they look like they're playing in a training game.
Yeah.
In not one of their 5 games have I seen them play with intensity.
Agreed.
And that's the worry, because normally they do this, but they drop a few points. This year, they've played 5-1-5. Their next two are Wolves and Nottingham Forest, right? And you would expect Forest at home and Wolves away. You would expect 6 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they'll probably be sitting there going, right, we've got 21 points from 7 games. And unless anybody else can keep that pace up, which I don't think they will be able to, I think they're going to run away with it. They're too good. They're a machine.
They are, and I think that's the greatest word for it, machine. They'll just churn out result as much. And you've got to be 110% to get a result against Man City, really, because when Man City aren't 100%, it's very, very rare. But they're never normally at 50%, right? They're at 70, 80%. And you go, you have to be.
Do you know the thing is, Perchy? The thing is as well is they can decide when they turn it on.
Yeah,
not many teams can do that. Man City, it's almost as though Pep switches a button. They go on, let's go. And look, they've gone from 1-0 down to boom, 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 3-1, game's done. And West Ham played okay. West Ham played well for what they played. But when you've got, like, everyone was going, oh, they've lost Mahrez. All right, but look, they brought Doku in, who's a wonderful player. They've lost Gundogan. Kovacic just slotted in like a glove. You know, they Vardy out at the back as well. It's just, they're too good. I can't listen. I'll say this now. I might clip this up. There is no chance anyone else wins this title. There is not a chance. I think the only way will be, it'll be like last year, where the points gap looks closer than it is, because at the end of the season, Man City have already won it and switch off.
Yeah. Agreed,
right?
yeah.
Last year, the title would have been 9 points, but they played a weakened team against Brentford, and they were literally just going through the gears because of the Champions League final.
Yeah, they didn't want to get injured, right? So you didn't see anyone putting in hard challenges. It was, we've won the title. This is they treated the end of the season like a training game, right? It felt like that. It was, you know what? We just do not get injured, because you do not want to miss out on the big one, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's just listen. If we get beaten, it doesn't really matter to us, and that's a good point. And just to finalise quickly, mate, on the last one, Newcastle Brentford game, which wasn't amazing, but Newcastle get a penalty, win a game of football, and fair play to them. They had a bad run of form, so it was good for them.
Listen, Eddie Howe will not care how that win came about. There was a lot of pressure on that. The fact that they lost 3 in a row, I think when you get to the stage you're losing 4 in a row or 5 in a row, fans turn quickly. So that was really, really important. And if you look at Newcastle now, how they can follow that up. So I'm just having a little look. So Newcastle, they've got 6 points, and their fixtures coming up now are Sheffield United away, Man City home, and Burnley at home. So look, you know, they've got Man City at home is going to be, sorry, that's the cup. Sorry, ignore me. Their games coming up are Sheffield United away, Burnley at home, and then West Ham away, and then Palace at home. So I think they'll pick up 8 to 9 points from those 4 games, and then we'll start to see them just creep back up.
Yeah, I agree. I think people jumped to them very quickly, but they had a very tough start to the season. I think people massively underestimated that. They saw the opening game when they battered Aston Villa and went, okay, they're on again. But they had to go play Brentford. They had the likes of, Liverpool in that mix. Not easy. Brighton in that mix as well. So not easy games of football. We look how good those teams have played. Mate, listen, that's wrapped up. Thank you so much for that.
No worries.
Champions League today. So big up. The Champions League is on today. So there'll be some watch longs later if you're watching it. You're watching this on Tuesday, Champions League games. There'll be some watch longs on your channel. So, mate, thank you for doing that. That was cool. And we roll on to next weekend, North London Derby. Do I get a prediction out of you today or not?
No, wait till the end of the week. I want to see who gets injured first this week.
I'm sticking by my 3-3. I'm sticking by it.
2-2 is what I've been saying. I think it will be 2-2. But I'm sure we'll do a show on that later on in the week.
We probably will do. Brilliant. Thank you for that, mate. And listen, guys, get to Football Heritage TV and go and like and subscribe over there. Go and like and subscribe to myself. And guys, we will see you next week for another one of these Premier Roundups. Peace out, guys. See you later.
And here's Kane! He sits on Tottenham's loftiest perch, beyond even the great Greaves. Spurs' most lavish scorer